from CSRS. And CSRS is asking, what do you think the third gate at Disneyland Resort should be themed or could be themed to? And what IP should it have? Also, where do you think and what options Disney has to put this hypothetical third gate? What are your feelings on that?
So we just talked about theme in the context of Critter Country. To expand that out, though, listen, we have come from an era where, intricate theming, hard theming, maybe out of the Michael Eisner era, parks were a big deal. It was like, okay, Animal Kingdom, that's Animal Kingdom. We understand that, get that, got that. Disney's Hollywood Studios, get that, okay. Disney's California Adventure. Okay, yeah, but I mean, they were all themes, right? They were all like hard set themes. This is what this park is all about. We have thesis attractions for all these parks. Some of them are not with us anymore. The great movie, right? Yeah. But so we have themes that run throughout the entire park that create this kind of holistic approach to these parks. Yes, we have lived through that. Yes, that's the expectation. That's the standard. I can tell you right now, that's probably not going to be the standard going forward. And the reason I say that is because, you have these themes, right? You set them out, day one, here it is, go. The problem is attempting to keep those themes as more ideas come out. These things have to be far more, these things you would like to be far more malleable than maybe they were presented initially, because there's the swath of ideas that come out, IP, requirements and so forth. You really want to incorporate these in there. And sometimes that's barriers to entry that you're just placing on yourself. So I think the approach going forward, and we're already seeing this, is far more. I don't want to say that I say it, but I'll say it. Maybe corporately driven themes for parks. Maybe something that's more analogous. Maybe something that's just more general in terms of theming. I mean, look at Epic Universe.
Right. Exactly.
Does Epic Universe have a theme?
No.
Let's be honest here. That is a hodgepodge. Okay, but look. If you look at Universal
Studios, even Disneyland is kind of a hodgepodge, to be fair.
Well, I mean, yes, essentially. I mean, it was the place where Walt could just place out all the ideas that he had, and that was very malleable. And again, I mean, if you were to do like a castle, like not a castle park, but in the vein of a castle park where it could be very special in its own right, but not a hard set theme that runs through the entire park and there's no getting around it and that kind of thing, I think that's preferable. But if you look at like Epic Universe, I mean, it's very much going by the Universal Florida model, which is generic theme in front, and that's your access point to all these different IPs on the other end. And I think that's what, unfortunately, I think that's what corporate wants. I think that's what the edict is. It's like, look, we don't want to have these hard set limitations on what we develop going forward, because that's something that we'll have to live with for 50, 80 years, that kind of thing. Right. And and we're seeing that in California Adventure, right? I mean, it's like, okay, we're getting Marvel and it's the Marvel campus, but when you thought Disney California Adventure in 2001, were you thinking Marvel? And look at Avatar. It's like, okay, that's integrated well into Animal Kingdom, but was that what came to mind back in 1998 or whatever? When that park opened. So it's like, you do have to factor these things in here. Going to the question though, I think that's what you might find is more of a generic park. Maybe a park that's not, just tightly themed. Maybe something that's a little bit more open to ideas, no matter how wild that they might be. Integrated well, of course. As far as what's going to be in that park, however, I don't know. I think there's, just on the stuff that's been developed so far, there's a lot of stuff in Tokyo that hasn't made its way out to any parks in the U.S. It could find a home there. We know that the Fantasyland expansion that's going on in Tokyo has a lot of ideas coming out of it. If they don't actually make it into Disneyland proper, those might have a home, maybe in some different form, in the new park, in the third gate of Disneyland. Avatar, I think that's a big one. Like, as controversial as it was going in, it has been a crowd pleaser, has been extremely successful in terms of guest satisfaction. Maybe not in terms of operational performance. Again, I think integrating 2 attractions into one building, maybe not the best idea. And I know they have overheating issues with flight of passengers and so forth. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on there. But if you can get those things right, I think it would be, a welcome addition to a third gate if there's space, land accordingly, all that kind of stuff. As far as the third gate goes, though, I mean, like I said, any ideas that were going forward, push them back for 4 to 5 years at minimum. And we already knew that the third gate was going to be a
long way,
kind of a long distance view there. And again, I mean, they still want a third gate. Obviously, if the Disneyland Resort could be expanded in a huge way, that's something that they go for. But there are challenges going along with that. And I think Chapek is looking at it at the same style that Bob Iger is, which is why concentrate our efforts on a new gate or a new park when the parks themselves that we currently have in our portfolio require so much work, just to get them up to snuff. So I think there's still opportunity. There's still opportunity in Disneyland, still opportunity in California Adventure, which I think we have a question on next round, and there's still opportunity in all 4 parks in Walt Disney World. So I think until those are completed, until those are, you can throw their gate down the line there.
It's going to be a while.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you were to ask me this question a few years ago, 6-7 years ago, I would have said I would have liked the third gate to be themed to like a heroes and like a heroes and like Legends park, where you can have like a whole area for Star Wars, which is heavily based on heroes and Legends, right? And you can have a whole area. You can even throw Pandora in there, and you can do the Marvel thing in there. You can have a whole heroes and Legends park, and that would be great. But that idea, I think, is sort of out the window now because we've had Galaxy's Edge. We're getting Avengers Campus. We have Pandora. So you kind of already have exhausted these in other parks already.
Yeah.
So that's kind of out the window. I think that if I could personally, if I was in charge, I would want to bring WESTCOT back and do the whole like the Epcot kind of park. Now, I know WESTCOT was not based on countries. It was based on continents, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So, and I know how current Disney is. So we would never get the same WESTCOT that we were going to get in the 90s.
No.
Never going to get it. Never going to get it.
No, so, you can throw that out the window. I know what you're saying here.
Yeah. But a good compromise would be, let's do WESTCOT, right? Mm-hmm. Let's have the continents. But if Chapek wants to put in his IP, like say for the Asia continent, he wants to put a Mulan ride. For Australia, he wants to do Rescuers Down Under, or for the America and all that, he can do Marvel, whatever. I'm okay with that. With that, as long as the basic idea is WESTCOT, the continents, and going to these different places of the world. If they want to tell that story though through their IP, I'm okay with that. But I do think WESTCOT would be a very cool kind of like a sister, like a cool bookend for the domestic parks. You have Epcot in Florida. You got WESTCOT in Anaheim. It'd be a great little bookend. Epcot's becoming more IP anyway, so it's not even the same park it was a decade ago.
No.
So I don't see why there would be a problem with doing it. I'd be cool with it. You can build a whole area themed New York. And have Iron Man or whatever if you want to do that.
Interesting.
You can have Europe, and you know what they're going to do with Europe. They're going to throw every princess in the world in there. They're going to have Tangled, and
you could,
you can do all that.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that. You can have the big centerpiece, the real impressive centerpiece that Epcot is known for. Maybe a different take on that for WESTCOT. But that's what I would do. I would do WESTCOT, and where I would put it would be in the Toy Story lot. I mean, it's a huge area.
That's where it would likely go. Where it would likely go. I mean, and your ideas are pretty large, so they would have to. I think they would. The only barrier really is just acquiring maybe just a little bit more land because it is kind of a small parcel.
Yeah.
But that's where they would put it. It would be the strawberry fields.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's where you'd put it, and then it wouldn't be. They can extend the monorail out there if they need to, or some sort of transportation system. But that's what I would do. I mean, it's a generalized enough theme, being the continents of the world that you can, corporate Disney, and I know a lot of fans don't want the IP, but that's the reality we live in, that they have enough room to work with, in terms of putting their IP in there.
Yeah, and it goes back to my point. It's just some park that can encompass the large amount of IP and ideas that the Imagineers have going forward. One that's not so theme limiting. And I think you expressed a vision that is cohesive with that. I really do.
Yeah.
It's Epcot without Future World. There you go.
There you go. Exactly. Now I am gonna bring up something a little controversial, maybe controversial. But it won't be controversial for Anaheim fans, but it might be a little controversial for Florida fans. And I want your feelings on this. I really want your feelings on this, Dre. And I've said this many times in regards to additional gates, right, for the domestic parks. Mm-hmm. Florida, the Walt Disney World complex, you have 4 theme parks right now, right? Yeah. You have 2 water parks. It's a sprawling resort area. I mean, massive. As of right now, you would have to, an average family, to kind of get everything in, would have to realistically spend about a week in Walt Disney World to even get a chance to kind of see at least a good taste of everything, right? At minimum a week, right? Yep. Disneyland Resort is a 2-park resort with a shopping district. You can do that in 2 days, probably, maybe 3 at the most. Yeah. I think growth-wise, and I don't mean physical growth. I mean financial growth. Hotel occupancy and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. Growth-wise, I think it's smarter for Disney to add a 3rd park to Anaheim, because it's easier to tack on an extra day to the situation in Anaheim than it would be to add an 8th or 9th day to Walt Disney World. Realistically, people can't do 9 days on vacation nowadays, Right. They can do 3 or 4 though,
Yes. Yeah. So that was the issue that they came up with Animal Kingdom, was that Animal Kingdom didn't necessarily add a day when it was added. It just took away from a day that people were already spending in the park somewhere else. And so just because you added a day's worth of activity necessarily, people haven't gotten expansions on their vacation time. That was the issue. Now it's interesting because you bring up California and you bring up how maybe short people stay there. The whole idea of California Adventure was to keep people on property from visiting other parts of California, because what they were finding in the research was, people who come to Disneyland, they're not just seeing Disneyland, they're seeing other aspects of California. Oh, we just bring all that here and it'll be perfect. And we instead of having them go all the way around, they just go here. They experience California here. California. Okay, so you can see how this comes up, and you can see how it's wow, how does this idea actually come about? That's how.
That Golden Gate Bridge is a real alternative to the real one, right?
This is the difference between park by committee and corporate, and not roadie. Okay, this is what you get here. This is where this comes from. But to your point, though, yes, if they were going to do a new park in the United States, it would definitely be in California, and it would definitely be at Disneyland Resort. That is there aren't even discussions of a new park in Florida. Okay, and there weren't before COVID. There definitely aren't after. But like I said before, there is a room on Flower Street. Engineering that says that is all dedicated to a 3rd gate out in Disneyland. Trust me, they want to expand Disneyland Resort. There's no question. And maybe that evaluation has changed a little bit now, but the potential is there. There's just an overwhelming supply of opportunity that could be soaked up there. There are logistical hurdles that they have to get over, but that's where it would be. And that and water park, and go down the line. That's what they would do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, great question. Thank you so much.